Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about Jackalope Jam, which is a fixed time race that I ran this weekend. The race is put on by Trail Racing over Texas out on 7 IL Ranch, a little bit outside of Houston, Texas. It offered different distances. There was a 100-mile option that started at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning, a 72-hour race that started at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning, a 48-hour race that started at 9 a.m. on Friday morning, and then on Saturday there was a 24-hour race, a 12-hour race, and a 6-hour race that started at 9 a.m. So the 6-hour ended at 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 12-hour ended at 9 p.m. on Saturday evening, and then all the other races ended on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with the exception of the 100-hour that continued on until 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. First, I'd like to thank Trail Racing over Texas and Rob Goyen, who was the originator of the race and directed it for the first several years. He did an excellent job and came up with the concepts, and I think a lot is owed to him for the success of the race. I also want to thank Cal Neff, who took over this year and ran it well. They provided a venue for a great event and a lot of the fun that people had out there this weekend. I'd also really like to thank my wife because she went and supported me during this race. She drove me down there. She camped the whole time, even though it was very cold a couple of nights, so it wasn't exactly ideal camping weather, but she stayed there and supported me and provided support and helped drive me home, pack up and drive home at the end of it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Kathy. Love you. Thank you. Other than that, the course itself is actually not that super exciting. It is a 0.75 mile run out and a 0.75 mile run back for a 1.5 mile loop that you just do over and over as much as you can. It has a few little rolling hills, but it's actually fairly flat. It's basically on a gravel road, gravel dirt road. I would say the first 2/10 of each lap, and I guess that would make the last 2/10 of each lap also, is kind of rocky, and it'll have stones that are, I don't know, golf ball size on it in places. There are ways to avoid some of those stones if you run off to the kind of the side, but that will be a little bit rough on the feet. I'm going to go ahead and stop. Well, and I'll say out of 100 miles, I ended up with about 3,000 feet of elevation change. So there was a little bit of elevation change, but it was fairly flat. The weather was variable this year. I hear that the people that ran on Wednesday, the highs got up to around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was actually very warm. But the wind kicked up on Wednesday night. There were some really strong winds that tore up people's tents and canopies. Maybe 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gust. Thursday still had a lot of wind, but the temperature dropped. Friday when I started, we started off with it being in the mid-30s Fahrenheit, so just above freezing. It went up some during the day. I think we got too close to, I don't think we got it into the 50s. I think we were in the 40s all day. But it felt pretty cold because the whole time you would run out, and the out portion was straight north, and you were pretty much north into the north wind, and the north wind was probably averaging 10-15 miles an hour most of the time. So that was pretty cold. You'd bundle up as much as you could for that, and then you'd be warm coming back with the tailwind on the last part of each loop. But that continued throughout the day. That evening, probably overnight, it got to where around midnight, 1 o'clock, the wind kind of died down. It was still cold, but it dropped in a lot in temperature. Overnight, I think we woke up Saturday morning to it being around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's probably just below freezing. The temperature rose during the day Saturday and got up probably around mid 50s by the end of the day. And then again on Saturday night, the wind kind of starting Saturday afternoon picked up again, so it was a bit cold, but I think Saturday night the low only got into the mid 40s, so it was much warmer. And then Sunday, when we were finishing up, the weather was actually very nice. The sun came out, the wind was not as strong. I think Sunday eventually got up into the 70s. It was only maybe 50 degrees when I finished, upper 40s, 50 degrees, something like that, when I finished around 9 a.m. But I think it got really nice for the people that were finishing up the 100-hour race. So the weather was actually, I would say, fairly decent. Very cold at times with that north wind, but it was not a horrible year. The prior year it had rained and was cold and had the wind, and with the moisture it was a lot more miserable. But this year it was tolerable. I'm now going to show a video of just the course. I didn't start at the start line, but I did one full loop of the course. I'm just going to do it on fast speed so you get a kind of the lay of the land, and here it goes. So now I'm just going to go in and show a video with my updates throughout the race. I didn't make a lot of them. Like I said, the course is pretty repetitive. It's nothing that exciting to see. So and a lot of the times where I got to kind of good breaking points or good points I probably should have filmed, it was dark outside, so I didn't do it. So I really don't have that many updates, but I'm going to go ahead and show those now. Hey, Cal. Okay, so I'm 12 miles in. So far, so good. I'm pretty much to my longest run of the last 2.5 months. So we'll see how it goes from here. But I'm still doing run minutes, run 5 minutes, walk 5 minutes. I'm averaging 12:17 pace, which I'm quite happy with. Anyway, we'll just see how long I keep this up. But so far it's pretty out. It's in the low 40s, I think. But what makes it cold and why everybody's bundled up is there's about a 15-mile-an-hour north wind. I started out really bundled up. I've been shedding some layers, and I'll shed some more here in a little bit. But anyway, I'm wearing my Trailhead Running Supply hat and my Dallas Dirt Runner shirt, so I'm representing. Anyway, catch you later. Okay guys, so I haven't checked in for a while. I'm at just a little over mile 30, a little under 8 hours. I have slowed down a lot, but not shocked, especially considering the lack of training I had going into this. But still going okay. It's just before 5 o'clock. I took off my tights about a half hour ago, which may be kind of silly since it's going to start getting dark here in about an hour. And it's going to get cold again, but I was just getting hot, felt like I needed to, so doing it for a little while. Anyway, all right, I'll check in later. Okay guys, so I never checked in last night. I went and laid down at about 1 o'clock. I had 57 miles. It's really been a slow slog. I got up this morning, I don't know, about 7. It's 8:40 and I just am hitting 63 miles. 60?
Good job.
Anyway, they're just we're about to get what they call fresh meat. The 6, 12, and 24-hour racers are all about to start. So there will be people blowing by us for a while. Well, probably all day, but anyway, just thought I'd check in. I was little home, my aid station, private aid station. Okay guys, so it is 6:15 on Saturday evening. Sorry I didn't give any updates today. I've actually had a pretty rough go of it. I finished last night when I went to bed with 57 miles at 1 a.m. I got up and I walked 6 miles before 9 a.m. so I had 63 as of 24 hours in. This is definitely a reduced day. I walked like one more loop after that, and one more 1.5 mile loop, and I really did not feel good at all. So I came back and I slept for a couple hours, got up and ate some, and basically I've been able to keep walking since then, but not at a real fast pace. I am now at 82.5 miles, so close enough that I feel like I should keep going and get to 100 miles. Kind of wish I wasn't that close, but I'm close enough that I feel like I ought to be get to 100 miles. Anyway, I will update y'all later. I guess it's going to get dark. It is getting dark now, so it'll be dark when I finish. But maybe I'll do a video anyway when I finish. But otherwise, I will update after the race. Thanks. So it's already kind of clearing out, but I should have taken video if I was going to show the people on along the course yesterday when we had the 6, 12, and 24-hour people all here. But we just finished the 24 and 48 hours at 9 a.m. The 100 hours finishes at 1 p.m. It's 9:19 on Sunday, February 19th. As for my race, I really did not feel good all day yesterday, but I just kept walking. I was going to try to get to 100 miles last night. I ended up walking until about 1 a.m. and I was at 97.5 and decided I could just leave 2 loops for this morning to get to 100. I got up this morning and I actually felt pretty good. A lot better than I did all day yesterday. So I got up just before 6 and I ran quite a bit. I was still walking the uphills, but I ran most of everything else. So I ended up doing 12 miles. I went past the 100 miles and then I kept going. I ended up with 109.5. I think I ended up being second place in the 48 hour, but way behind the guy in first. But it's okay. So this is my medal. My belt buckle that I got for finish over 100 miles. And this morning turned out to be the best day weather-wise of the whole weekend. There's people who will say on Wednesday when they started the 100 hour, it wasn't bad. It was pretty warm, but very windy. And then Thursday was very windy and cold. Friday was windy and cold. I think we woke up Saturday morning to being around 30 degrees, and it was a good wind, so it was pretty cold. But this morning's beautiful. I don't know. I hadn't looked at what the temperature is. It's probably
close to 50 degrees and sunshine, no wind. It's beautiful. Anyway, it was a nice way to end the event.
Okay, so now I'm going to do my synopsis of my race. Again, I went into the race. I felt very undertrained. I had COVID in December. I've spent a lot of time helping my parents that have had some health issues lately, so I've been doing a lot of caretaker role. So I really got in very little training. My longest run in the last probably 2.5 months going into this was 12 miles. My mother also went into the ER, and I spent most of the day in the hospital the Tuesday before the race, and I really wasn't sleeping well a lot of that week. So I actually went in pretty tired and exhausted, but I really enjoyed getting away and doing this event. I didn't really go in with big expectations, and my performance was a bit less than previous years, but overall I was pretty happy with the result. I started out on Friday running 5 minutes, walking 5 minutes to begin the race. Wanted to see how far I could do that. I made it about 18 miles doing that, and then I had to slow down. That was kind of the limit of how far I could do that. I still kept up a fast pace all day Friday. I got to 57 miles when I laid down around 1 or 1:30 in the morning. Got up Saturday morning. I went for a walk of the loop. Very first, when I started off around, I think it was around 7 a.m. I started walking, but I was very stiff and sore and was moving very slowly. I thought I would start feeling better. I ended up making it about 5 loops, and I was just totally exhausted. I was at 63 miles by 9 a.m. I walked one more loop after that, so I guess I was at 64 and a half, and I just had to lay down again. So I went and laid down for a couple more hours. Got up probably somewhere around noon time, and I felt some better. I still didn't feel great the whole rest of the day, but I was able to keep walking, marching along. I really didn't run very much at all on Saturday. I think later Saturday night I ran a little bit on some loops when I was with Chad Turner, but very little running on Saturday. I got Saturday night, I went till about 1 a.m. I was trying to get to 100 miles before I went to bed, but I just got really tired. When I went to bed, I thought I had 97 and a half, and again, like I said, I really had 99, but I laid down and went to sleep. Got up Sunday morning, around 6, I did the first loop, and I actually felt pretty good walking. I finished that loop. I thought I needed one more to get the 100 miles, and one of my newer friends, Matt Rohrer, was there. He was awesome. He walked some loops with me earlier in the event, and he had kept telling me to wake him up in the morning and take him on my lap to get to 100. Well, Matt had done 150 miles plus, and had been up late the night before and had done so much. He actually ran out and got me and my wife hamburgers on Saturday night, which was wonderful, from town. And he told me to wake him up, but I just did not want to wake him up and disturb him at 6 in the morning. So I just went out on the second loop, the loop to get me to 100 miles, what I thought was going to get me to 100 miles. My wife went with me the first part of the loop, but ended up I was feeling really good. I was moving faster, so she just told me to go ahead, and I started walking fast, and then I started running some. And even though I had planned to stop when I got to 100 miles, I actually, for the first time since Friday, was starting to feel pretty good, and I was walking fast, and I was starting to run some. So I just decided to keep going, and I really ran and walked the last 3 hours up until the end at 9 o'clock. Like I said, I planned to stop at 100, but I also knew if I went a few more miles, I would move up in the standings a little bit, because a lot of people hit their goal of getting to 100 miles and stopped there. So I just kept going. I can't say I was still running the whole course. I would run the flats and the downhills, and then when there was a slight uphill, slight slope up, I would walk. But I ended up doing 12 miles that morning, which is better than I had been doing, better pace than I had been doing, and I ended up with 111 miles. Now overall, that ended up getting me the 100-mile belt buckle, which I'm very happy with. I guess it's my 6th 100-mile finish in a race. It also ended up, much surprise to me, moved me up to 3rd place overall in the 48-hour race. There was a woman who did 150 miles. There was one man who did 142 and a half, and then my 111 was actually 3rd. I was the 2nd male and the 3rd overall out of 37 contestants. I will say there were definitely some people that were stronger than me that just got to their 100 miles and stopped. So, but anyway, the official finish shows that I finished 3rd, 2nd male. I want to talk a little bit about what really makes this race magical. It's not so much it's not the venue. It's not the course. It's more the people you see and the people you meet. The fact that a small course, you're able to share miles with lots of different people. You meet lots of interesting and great people, and you see the humanity of people supporting each other. You also get to see people reaching their ambitious goals and meeting their lofty hopes and expectations, and it's just a lot of fun to witness. So some of the people I'd like to call out, and I'm going to miss some names. There were just so many people, great people out there, but I was camped next to Andrew Marvin, who's a good friend of mine from DDR and helped one of the co-hosts of the Happy Endings podcast. It was great sharing some miles with Andrew and talking to him. Nick Pedersen was the young guy that he just looked effortlessly through the whole race. He was doing the 100-mile and he set the course record. I think the record before was like 264 miles or something like that. He did 274. He could have reached 300. He decided the day before he was just enjoying visiting with people so much that he was going to slow down a bit. He still did enough to break the course record by 10 miles, but he would stop and walk with people. He was genuinely interested in everyone's race and cheering everyone on. Nick was a great guy. Met Katie from New Braunfels. She was a lot of fun doing the course. She was shooting for 100 miles, and it was her first 100-mile finish. I don't remember if she was in the 72-hour or the 100-hour, but I actually participated on the lap with her where I stuck with them when she went through for her 100-mile finish, and that was exciting. Christoph, who I've known now for 5 or 6 years, has done lots of trot events. He was there for his final Texas race before he moves to Oregon. I had a lot of fun visiting Christoph. He was there doing the 100 hours and did over 200 miles. Chad Turner, who I spoke about, another one of my DDR friends. I've known Chad for a while, but I got to really enjoy a few laps with him and partial laps with him throughout the weekend. It was great seeing and visiting with Chad. Like I mentioned, Matt Rohrer was great. I spent some time with him. He's the one that went out and got me and my wife hamburgers. I really enjoyed seeing him. Got to be there to see Jennifer finish her first 100-miler. Along with Jennifer, Amanda, who's part of the Cypress Wolfpack, she stuck with Amanda the whole time. She had originally had a goal to do 150 miles in 48 hours, but she stuck with Amanda and helped support Jennifer to her first 100-mile finish. That was pretty inspirational. I met Kim Sargent, who was out there doing her 85th 100-mile race. I really enjoyed visiting with Kim. Wayne Gross was out there. Wayne is 63 years old. He was smiling all the time, very happy. His best before, he had done the 100-hour last year. I think he had done a little over 150 miles. Well, this year he made it to 180. But Wayne would jump into everybody about to hit a milestone or a big number, and he would do a loop with them and smile and cheer them in. Wayne was a great cheerleader out on the course. Met Leah Brasher. She was a great person to meet. She was very determined and very consistent and still very friendly. She would talk to everybody. It was very nice. She crushed her 100-hour race with over 200 miles. I met Amanda Oliver from Fort Worth. I shared some miles with her, particularly on late Saturday night. She also did over 200 miles in the 100-hour, but she stayed with me my last few laps of Saturday night when it was getting cold and I was trying to push to 100. Anyway, I really appreciated the time she spent with me when I was struggling. Also got to see my friend Blanca out there, who was doing the 24-hour race. I met an Ashley who lives now in Salt Lake City. Got to share some miles with her. And I had at least 5 people come up to me and say they had seen my channel before, and I really appreciated that. One of them was Kim, who was running real strong. Mirabella, who was doing the 12-hour, and she was just flying past me a lot, but said she was enjoying the vibe and what all the people were accomplishing. She was planning to do the 48-hour race. And another was John, who I spent quite a bit of time with. John is also known for his Texas Country Living channel, and I had a lot of time and enjoyed visiting with him and his friend Ed, who's from Pennsylvania. But John, his son, 17-year-old son, was out there and did 100 miles in the 100-hour race. Also got to put a shout out. It was very cool seeing the people that were rucking. There were people with packs that weighed 20 pounds up to, I saw one guy that was rucking with a pack of 110 pounds. And a whole lot of these ruckers, they would be walking with these weighted things. They would get down to the cone, or turnaround cone at each loop, and they would stop with the weighted pack and do several push-ups. Several were doing 5. There were a few people that were doing 8 push-ups every loop for tons and tons of loops. It's very impressive. And then I got to give a shout out to Lisa Decker. She always makes it so fun. She was out there doing the 100-hour, but she was mostly walking, but having a good time. She was like the party person, and a lot of people would hang with her because she was funny and laughing and smiling the whole time. It's a private ranch, so we were allowed to drink, and she would be drinking alcoholic beverages and always having a great time. She actually was raising money for charity, had people donating based on to the charity, and she decided she hadn't raised enough, so she was going to put in $1 for every mile she did. I think she ended up with 108, plus $1 for every alcoholic beverage she drank. So she was keeping track of every beer she drank, or they were also drinking Fireballs, so she was saving the caps from the Fireballs to keep track of them. I don't know how many they did, but she donated quite a bit. Anyway, it was just a lot of fun. The people really make the event. It was a blast out there. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of fixed time races because of the small loops, and I think it would be boring. But let me tell you, the people make these events, and it was a great time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I hope you consider watching more of my adventures in the future. They're not all like fixed time races. I definitely do other races. I love trail races. I love being out in the woods. I also do some road races and things. But anyway, if you liked the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up, the like button. If you're interested in more of my content, please consider subscribing to the channel. And other than that, I hope you're having a great day, and keep moving.